Welcome to the In Cobb We Trust podcast. And today I have the pleasure of interviewing Anthony McCalla, who is going to be replacing the ignominious Ward 1 council person. And he is going to be our new representation come November 4th for Marietta City Council. Anthony, welcome.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'm so excited about being here and having this opportunity to talk to you, your pod group. I'm very excited.
My pod group is hopefully full of young and old people, both. Yes. And just to get started, because a lot of people have not heard your name potentially. Right. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, well, my name is Anthony McCalla. I come from a small little town called Tequila. If you're familiar with UGA, up 316, small little town. I grew up in the early 2000s there, where there was more cows and chickens. And more cows and chickens than people too. Went to school there. While I was in school, became a Boy Scout, an Eagle Scout. Learned about community there, right? Small little town. Like most Southern towns, the biggest place there was the Waffle House. And we used to on Friday nights hang out at the Waffle House until they built the Mall of Georgia and they built Old Charlie's. So we thought we were bougie. Ended up hanging out the Old Charlie's. But learn in that community, just learn about community. Learn about the importance of it and how you take care of your neighbors. And that's why I'm kind of here. It all builds up to this moment right here of running for city council and helping make my city better.
And if I'm correct, the Scout motto is be prepared?
Yes. Be prepared all the time. I actually had a build for my Eagle Scout project. I actually built a playground.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. So it just ended. They just had to break it down maybe about a year ago, but it stayed up for, oh my God, almost 20 years.
Oh, wow.
Yes. Yes. Okay. I can't believe it. I don't know how they trust a 15-year-old to build a playground.
That's pretty impressive. And where'd you go to college?
So went to college. Spent my first 2 years. I got my associates at a college called Gordon State College in Barnesville, Georgia, in the middle of nowhere.
Yes.
Got my associates there. Then I went to Kennesaw State University. Go Owls. Got my bachelor's there, and then I got my master's, my MBA from Mercer University. In
public safety, was that?
Yes. So ended up becoming a cop for about 13 years downtown Atlanta on the south side of Atlanta. If anybody's familiar where Camp Creek is and Greenbrier and College Park and East Point, I patrolled down there as a MARTA police officer. Became a sergeant. As a sergeant, I did emergency management and terrorism, creating security plans for our transit system. So if something bad was to happen, we were prepared for it. Mm-hmm. So my background is just policies and procedures and making sure that we're good, and also working with communities too.
And planning.
Yes.
And so let me kind of take this opportunity to talk about your race a little bit and your opponent. Sure. I suspect, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, that in your previous position as MARTA police officer and doing all these things, you had to be out in the community.
Right.
You had to talk to people.
Right.
You had to listen to people.
Right.
You had to take people with disparate opinions, right? And kind of all bring them on board, get them to all agree at some level, and then move something forward.
Right.
Part of that, a huge part of that is being present.
Yes. So that is a good point. Currently, right now, our city council person,
Cheryl Richardson.
Yes. She's not present. That is one of the biggest things that I hear the people in my ward talk about all the time. Whether you're on Dixie or Dixie Road, whether you're on Fairground or Franklin, the same thing said all the time. Where is she? She's missing in action. I don't know. But I can tell you that she doesn't care about the people in my ward. We've been looking for her and asking where she is for a while. It took her, and I'll give you kind of a personal story. In my neighborhood, there's a park that was dilapidated.
And you know something about parks, having built one.
Right. I do. That is true. I know a lot about parks. And it's a park that when it rained, it got muddy. It was mosquitoes. young families like myself that, came here to Marietta to start our family and whatever, me and my wife, we can't take our kids down there. Nobody can I can't take my nephews down there. I can't take anybody down. I don't even like taking my dog down there because there's so many mosquitoes and messed up. It took her 5 years. My neighborhood had to fight with her for 5 years to make sure there was funding to fix this park, right?
And the word you said is fight.
Yeah. Because every time we talked to her, it was, oh, well, I don't know. Let me look. Let me see if we get what we can do. We'll let you know. And what I've learned from talking to people in our ward, her favorite word is, I'll let you know. Or, let me see. That can't be it. We need a council person like myself that's going to do more than just say, I'll let you know. I already want to get back with you. I already want to talk to people. And that's what I learned about in policing. Like you were saying, it's about communicating with people and listening to people and actually showing up when people really need you, right? When people need a cop, they need a cop there, right then. I can't start there and say, oh, I know you're having
I'll
an
let
issue.
you know.
Let me know. Somebody broke into your car. We'll get back to you then. It's about sitting right there being for people and being with people when they really need you, right? Mm-hmm. And it's not asking that much. I mean, I do have a big ward. About 4,400 people live in my ward. But at the end of the day, out of those 4,400 people, when the people call you and say, hey, this is a situation we have, they expect you to show up, right? She hasn't showed up. Except for the last couple of weeks, all of a sudden now our park is getting fixed in the middle of election year.
It seems to be something. It's so transparent.
Who knew?
It's so transparent, right?
Town hall that she's not had a town hall in like 8 years. All of a sudden now she has this town hall to tell us about.
I think I know that she's doing it because she has to do it politically. But what really kind of strikes me is how dumb does she think the people of this ward are that they can't see through that? Right. Like all of a sudden now you're showing up because there's an election in a few months.
And that's one of the things I was talking to a pastor at a church in the ward a couple of days ago. I was talking to him about the idea of like being present and showing up for the community. And one of the things he was like, well, are you going to be a regular politician where I just only see you this part of the year? Every 4 years you're going to show up to my congregation to talk to them. Where are you going to be between that time? And I pretty much told him, I was like, I'm not going to be that way. I'm going to start there and I'm going to be there. I'm going to be there when you don't think I should be there. I'm going to be there when it's just Wednesday night Bible study. I'm going to be there when there's someone out of your congregation that passes away and you need somebody to come there and, give some good words of encouragement to your group. I want to be constantly there to be supportive and be part of your community, right? Because at the end of the day, it comes to the idea of, are you going to be part of our community or not, right? She's not, I don't know what she's doing. Really, honestly, and I hate to say this and I don't want to offend the other wards, I feel like she cares more about these other wards than she does about the people in Ward 1. Oh, because she seems to give her a great advice about what goes on in Ward 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. But when it comes to Ward 1, MIA.
Well, I'll tell you a story. I mean, I've done a fair amount of real estate development in Marietta, and my partners and I have tried to get a sit down with her to at least talk about stuff. No, just a no, just won't respond. Right. And then, when I remember one time specifically, I was in front of city council and I was asking for a rezoning. Right. And, I'm a physician speaking up there. I speak respectfully to everybody, and I am not used to the way that she spoke to me. Mm. She was very disrespectful, dragged me. At one point, I just had to be like, ma'am, I'm just trying to be respectful here. It was so bad that people that I didn't know came up to me after and were like, what'd you do to make her mad?
Wow. But you're not the only person that I've heard that from.
Is that right?
No, you're not the only person I've heard that from. Across Ward 1, you hear that story too, right? You hear that she's condescending towards people. That I don't know whether because she's an attorney, she might think that she's smarter than everybody else. But at the end of the day, no matter whether you're an attorney or you have a degree or you went to college or you didn't, you still are a person. You deserve respect. As a candidate, I'm going to respect anybody. Anybody that is here that has a different idea, I'm going to listen to, right? Mm-hmm. Because I was learning how to do that as when I was younger. I learned that my parents taught me to respect people, right? And even if you disagree with them, there's a way to sit right there and disagree with them in a respectful way or not.
Right.
But belittling people and thinking that they're not important because, one, you don't like what they say, or you think that they don't live in this ward, it doesn't matter to them. It shouldn't be that way, which I know we'll probably talk about later on, is part of the issue that we have here in city of Marietta, where you have a group of people that think because you are not from here, or you're not from this ward, or you're not from the city, you somehow are less of a Marietta person. But if you're like me, every October when we get our tax bill, city of Marietta loves me. I never seen them say right there and say, you are not a Marietta person.
And therefore you don't have to pay
You don't have to pay this. We get this bill every year. We sit right there and do that. And there's many people like us. Many people that came here to this community, like I said, live in Tequila and Gwinnett, came to this community. I've lived in Marietta for over about 10 years now. Me and my wife have been married 6 years. We decided to come here, start our family here. We did this and we decided to stay here in Marietta because we love the city and we want to help our neighbors be able to thrive. But right now, when we look at the idea of what Richardson on her policy for the almost 10 years she's been in government, you have 2 years of her being appointed as a judge and then 8 years. She hasn't done anything, right? She hasn't done anything to affect the people in our ward, in our community. And that's what people are asking for. When I go and I'll walk the streets, they're sitting right there and saying, are you going to do better than she's done? Because right now, she hasn't done anything. I met this lady off of Franklin Gateway who she's a mother. She has 3 kids and she pays almost $2,000 a month for a rent, right? For like 800 square feet. And she can afford to buy a house here. But if you talk to Richardson, she doesn't believe in developing.
No, she doesn't. No, she does not.
But if you ever go to some of these meetings that she go to, they'll spend 30, 45 minutes talking about what color a developer can paint the side of a wall or whatever. But when it comes down to real people doing smart housing, sitting right there and doing affordable housing for veterans who can be able to live, senior citizens can live in those. She's MIA. She won't sit right there and do anything at all. She doesn't like that stuff right there. And so what is it? It goes back to what we talked about. I think she just doesn't care about this ward.
And she's a former registered Republican. So with that, so let me ask you this. Yeah. In terms of Ward 1, biggest needs.
Yeah. So
from your perspective.
Yeah, I would say right now, from my perspective, the biggest need is affordability and then affordable housing. Me and one of my colleagues, Nora, I think you're going to interview her or have interviewed her for this podcast. Me and her met, and me and her really are looking at how the city can actually better the situation. And when we talk about affordability, we're talking about like smart developing. And I think the idea is what I call the army of the no. The army of the no, the people that are always like, no to this, no to that. And they don't like the idea of affordable housing, but it's the same group of people that will sit right there and say, you know what, we can build a data center. That's great, right? But when it comes to real issues with real people and being able to start there and help with them being able to live here and spend money here and thrive here and have families here, they want to say no to it. But it's about smart development, right? It's about the idea of how can we start there and bring housing to the areas that need housing. We have a lot of land here in the city. It's just that we don't want to use it smartly, right? Mm-hmm. We like to build data centers. We like to build, 14 gas stations right next to each other versus the idea of let's look how we can start there and build housing for people can be able to afford it, right? And I'm not talking about housings that we think that are going to be this low income where it's going to be, trash and, way back.
Everybody thinks affordable housing. They think like it's this idea in their head, which is not a reflection of actual reality. No,
we're talking about we're talking about like maybe $200,000-$300,000 houses. We're talking about the ability of people to be able to afford housing, right? But they just need the ability to have housing. Because right now, there's no housing. There's no house people can end up buying. The young lady I was telling you that spends $2,000 in rent, she was telling me like, I want to buy a house. I want to buy a house here. I make good money, but I can't do it. I met another young lady off of Franklin who she is actually a realtor. She makes extremely good money. She can't afford a house here. And she sells houses here in Marietta. And she's like, it's the craziest thing. She's like, I sell people houses, but I can't afford to buy this house myself. Because the average person here, you have to make over 6 figures to actually be able to afford a house here. The average house in Marietta is about what, 450 to 500?
$400,000.
Yeah. That's outrageous. But I think the idea of the reason why it's like that is you have a city council that has just forgotten what it really means to be an average person, right? Their houses, because they're an older group of people, they bought their houses in 1970 for $30,000, $40,000. They're not having to really spend money like the people are right now, where they're having to start there making decisions where this summer, did my kid go to summer school? Or did my kid go to summer camp? Or do I take that money and save it up because we don't know what's going to happen the next couple of months with the way taxes are going up and electricity bills are going up? We have to start there and figure, they're trying to figure that out. So kind of going back to what you're saying, it's affordability in housing. And then it's also the ability to be heard, right? We have what I hear across the ward is this idea that people are not feeling heard by city council. And if you ever go to the city council meeting, in which I'll tell your viewers that they should go, it is the most opening experience you'll see, right? It
can be wild.
It is wild and crazy, but it's sad too, because what you'll see in that meeting is this. You'll see a bunch of people, 8 people that are sitting at a desk. They're allegedly you're supposed to be listening to people, and sitting right there making the decision of it are not paying attention. So these average people that are sitting right there saying, "Hey, here's the situation I have. I disagree with this," and they're great. They're giving good reasons why they disagree with it. They end up not listening to them. It's right there and going with the developer. I am one of the things you'll learn, and one of the things my campaign is about is smart developing. And the idea of big developers shouldn't have a voice, shouldn't have the biggest voice in the room. It has to be normal people having a voice, right? And that has to be it. We have to get back to regular people being able to go to their government and sit right there and say, "Hey, here's the issue." And that government being able to listen to them and not cutting them off and say, "Well, you didn't give me $10,000 for my election, so I'm not going to listen to you at all."
Or at least be willing to meet with people.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
to talk to them.
Yeah. Who knew that your city council person should do that? I don't know. Who knew that? But I think that's what we have to start right there, and we have to remind people what it means. And I think that's where, like a person like myself, come from, like I said, a small town where you had to work with your neighbors, right? Most people come from those areas where you have to work with your neighbors and work with people. You just don't cut your neighbor off and say, "I'm not going to deal with you because I don't like you," or this other person that's listed telling me not to do this or that. We have to work together as a team, and we have to work together as a group.
What do you think you've learned from the moment that you decided to put your hat in the race till now that you didn't know before?
Wow, that's such a good question. I think if anybody decides to run for election, it's surprising, right? You surprise yourself about your own character, right? And about other people that you end up meeting. What I found out, what I first was a little nervous about putting my hat out here, right? I'm not a politician. I'm just a regular dude that wants to better his community, right? As I do with policing, bettering those communities down south, and working with children, and working with different agencies to make sure that people are safe. Being able to do that here in Marietta, putting yourself out there, and I wasn't sure what I was going to get, and whether people were going to be like, "Oh, nah, you look too young," which I'm 40. I know I look like, I know I'm looking like a 21. I'm 40. I'll be 40 on the 26th. But what I learned is that people, once you sit right there and you start meeting people, what you find out is that people really want someone that's going to fight for them, right? That's not going to give up to big developers or the well-connected. They want someone that's going to fight for them. That's probably what I've learned, that there's a fighting spirit in all these wards that we have here, right? There's a fighting spirit of probably some people that have been a little bit more quieter. The quiet majority.
The silent minority?
Yes.
Or silent majority, rather.
So, yeah, that have been quiet. And I think they're getting a little bit anxious at, you know what? We got to do something now. This is not working, and we have to speak up, and we have to say something, right? That's what I think one of the lessons I've learned. I think the second lesson I've learned is that when you become a candidate, you learn that your message has to be a message that has to be broad for everyone, right? Everyone has to be able to come to this tent, and this has to be a big tent for everyone, right? And that's what I want to end up doing. And that's what my 10 is now. It's for anybody. It's whether no matter where you think you are in the city, whatever category you want to put yourself in, whether you're old Marietta, new Marietta, middle Marietta, whatever you want to call yourself, we're about bringing people into this tent. That's the right thing I said. This is a tent where we're going to listen and we're going to make changes that actually better your lives, that we're going to make changes that actually make a difference in your neighbors and people that you know lives versus some big developer that lives in New York that never will come down here to Marietta at all. Mm-hmm. I want to make people that live off of like Dixie and Fairground lives better versus somebody that lives in New York. I wish I love New York for anybody, but
and I know Fairground particularly well because when I was in high school, I lived off Shallowford and Trickham Road.
Okay, yeah.
And I went to Campbell High School.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So we had to commute from there, and I would take like Sandy Plains to Scuffle Grit or Holly Springs Sandy Plains to Scuffle Grit that turned into All Good.
Right.
And then get on Fairground after you cross Scott Parkway. And I just remember that road specifically. I would look around, I'm like, we're in a different part of town. Mm-hmm. Right. And you could see the different parts of town kind of separated by all that. And I wonder, with Fairground specifically, I feel like it's such an important street. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it really gets like, I don't know if you if you're not from here or drive around here, like Fairground is an incredibly important street. I just don't know if we're really realizing its full potential.
And I think you make a very good point. I mean, it's such an interesting, it's a little bit of everything there. You have so many diverse socioeconomic groups on there, different religious groups, different.
And then you have Cobb County government and the aquatic center and the baseball fields.
You have all
and
these different people that are on there. And I think you're right. There's so much more I think we can do in that area. And talking to the people that live in those areas, they see the potential too of adding some additional stuff that can bring, that can brighten their lives. But there's so much potential in it. But I think to be able to do that and fulfill those, you actually have to have an idea. You have to actually have a vision, right? Mm-hmm. And your vision has to be of the city growing versus the city staying the same, right? My opponent right now believes in the status quo. Everything's going to change. Everything's going to stay the same as has been for the last 8 years that she's been in office.
And it's just like the mayor, right? Like just keep everything the same. Right. Just everything is the same. Like it's all good for me, so I don't care about anybody else. And she wouldn't know because she doesn't talk to anybody.
Right. So you have those two people right now that are in government, that are running government. There's no way change is going to happen, right? Mm-hmm. So what ends up happening, and so I've been debating on this, whether is it just because they don't understand, or is it because is it purposely done, right? And it's one of those things I've been debating on. Do they just maybe they don't know. Maybe nobody's told them that, hey, here's these people that care about you, that need to know what your plans are, or you just really don't care. And as I go around talking to people not in the ward, and even not in my own ward, but some of these other wards, what you're hearing and what the people are kind of saying is, I think it's more of the latter.
Yes, it is the latter. It's 100% the latter.
Right, it is. They don't care. And I think they don't care is because they feel like, well, people are going to forget. People are going to forget all the bad stuff that we end up doing. Every 4 years, like I said, we can come and knock on people's door and say, we care about you. And I did this one thing and make a difference. But this is where, the people in this podcast can make a difference, is sitting right there, making sure that their neighbor does not get bamboozled, that they don't sit right there and they don't get tricked by the idea of, hey, I'm here for you, and I'm not going to do nothing the next 4 years come November the 5th, right? November the 5th won't go back to the same way I was. I think we should be very concerned that we, one, are going to have someone at the very top of the ticket that's been in office going on over 20 years. That's, to me, extremely crazy, right? Mm-hmm. Most organizations by then would have switched over. And most organizations would sit right there and said, hey, this is not working. You shouldn't be in office this long. And I can't believe we are going to let somebody that, I don't know how old he is. He's like 80 now?
He's pushing high 70s, maybe in his 80s.
70 or 80s. Is that really who we want to bring us in the next 4 years with all the different stuff that's going on, where you're talking about technology changing, you're talking about new development happening to a person that, when they were born, they're, they didn't even have a cell phone or, the telephone wasn't around. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, we have to really look at that. Does that make sense for the next 4 years for the city to grow? We're trying to accomplish all this stuff, but you're having a person that might not understand the stuff that we need to accomplish or understand the needs of these citizens that we have right now.
Yeah, I think he's completely out of touch. And,
Right.
For Cheryl, the Houdini Richardson.
Right. Which I love. I'm going to sell that.
Yeah, it's funny. She does this disappearing act.
Definitely
It's
gonna make
fantastic. I got more for that. With the few minutes I have remaining, just so people, I think, you talked about the fact you're an Eagle Scout.
Yeah.
The fact that you were a police officer. What is your favorite? And I'm not trying to get you in a gotcha question here.
Right.
But if you had to pick some, maybe not one, but let's say maybe 2 or 3 places that you love to eat in Marietta.
Oh, wow.
I know. I see.
Wow.
I was going to sneak that in right there.
Okay. So my 3 favorite places. So my number 1 spot is I love pizza, right?
Okay.
So you have to say Marietta Pizza, right?
Mm-hmm.
I love their pepperoni and, I try to be a little healthy. So I'll put a little bit of broccoli on that.
Dude. Did you just say
I know, pepperoni and broccoli. Try it.
I've never heard
really,
anybody
really good.
Okay.
It's my justification to eat somewhat healthier. Right?
Okay. I enjoyed their Sicilian. I enjoyed their Sicilian.
Wow.
Their Sicilian's good. I usually get like jalapeno and onion on it, so it's pretty good.
I gotta try that.
Yeah.
I need to try that next. I'll just have to say my second favorite spot is Woody's now.
Okay.
I love a good sub.
Okay.
So anytime you get a good sub sandwich, I'm for it.
Have you tried a Hoboken Cafe?
Oh no.
Hoboken Cafe is the great one. Yeah, it's a great one. Great one.
I gotta try that.
Yeah.
And then I have to say my third favorite spot here is, what would be my third one? There is a space called Come and Get It.
Yeah. I know where. Yeah, that's right.
Right there.
It's like Southern food.
Yeah. I don't know if there's just a Southern boy in me. There's
must
something
be.
good about getting some good collard greens and corn, cream corn, and having anything fried. I think any place that fries anything, I'm all for it. But I love the city of Marietta. I love the food. There's so much great choices here. It's a good place for people to live, and we have to continue that mission of making it a place that people want to stay, not get pushed out, not feel like they can't afford it, but be able to bring people in. When we talk about housing, the idea of even while we're doing this podcast, we're right near the hospital. One of the ladies that I was talking to that lives near my house, she's a nurse, and she was talking about the idea of it took her forever to be able to get a house here in Marietta. All her nurse friends live outside of the city.
Yep.
And that's something that we have to really look at. We're missing money that could come back to the city by not having housing for people. One of the policy plans that I have is where I believe, and I'm going to probably work with Nora on this, and I know she probably believes in this too, is what I call a hero community, right? Housing where firefighters, people that live in the city of Marietta, hospital workers have the ability to be able to buy a house, right? Our veterans being able to start there and buy a house within the city, creating a community just for them. If we say that we care about these people, if we sit right there and say that we care and we have all these parades and, you have our city council members taking pictures with our veteran police officers, they should be able to live here in the city. So I want to put my mouth and my work together and be able to start there and give them a place to stay.
I love that because I work in the hospital.
So,
and they're coming from Paulding, they're coming from Holly Springs. Yeah. They're coming. I think the larger point that I take from you is that we are economically have been disadvantaged by this city council, this mayor, Cheryl Richardson.
Yes.
Is that they have not given 2 shits about the city's pocketbook because there's been no forward thinking. Why are we in such a tight budget when you have systematically denied corporate tax generating developments that could have been used to help provide services for the city,
Right.
for its citizens.
And it's true. But if you care more about somehow your friend giving you some money for election, you're not going to vote against them. You're going to vote against your own interests to hurt your own people. Because like we said before, you think 4 years, these people are going to be, they're stupid, that they're not going to think about what you've done. And you think you can get away with it. And this is where we have to change it, right? Mm-hmm. We have to be the change agents to say right there and said, you're not, we remember, right? We remember what you've done. And we need to make sure that you pay for it by not re-electing them, right? Mm-hmm. I live in, my ward, Richardson, actually hasn't really had a real competition. She's only won her election by 22 votes out of the 100 some odd people that voted, right? This election is about building a coalition. Right now, we have an army of people that are sitting right there saying, I'm tired and I'm going to vote. And I'm tired of this lady because I don't know who she is. And that to me is the craziest thing. And I thought it was just me. But when you're hearing people that have lived here in Marietta for 30, 40 years say, who's my city council person? I've never met her before at all. That's crazy to me. If you're saying that you're a person of the people, where have you been?
Oh, no. The Houdini has not been
Where
anywhere.
have you been? And why are you not helping the city make the money that it needs? So when we have those investments and we're bringing money into the city, it can help everybody across the board.
With the last question, and something I ask all my patients and families in the hospital, what brings meaning in their life? What brings meaning in your life?
Wow. I think the best way to answer that question is I think it's about, at the end of the day, I think about when, good Lord calls me home, what will it be what people will say about me that I've done? And I believe it has to be the idea, did you help make somebody's life better, right? And it doesn't always have to be something huge or big. I think of something, I have a mentor who said it best. Ships don't turn like this, right? They turn slightly. So were you able to slightly make somebody's life better, right? Were you able to sit right there and make a difference by your words and your actions, right? That has to be what we end up doing. This is what this election's about. That slight change of making sure that people have the opportunity to get a house, the opportunity to live here in Marietta, the opportunity to sit right there and live to the best of their God ability chance to do. But we have to sit right there and do that. And that's what I want to be remembered for. I'm really honestly, I'll tell you, don't want to just be remembered as a councilman or anything like that. I want to be remembered as a person that made a difference in people's lives. And if that is what I'm left with, and if that's what people sit right there and said I did, then I've done a great job here on this life, on this world for the years that God has me to be here.
Well, you heard it on the In Cobb We Trust podcast. Anthony McCalla, the next council person from Ward 1, who is going to defeat Cheryl Houdini Richardson. Early voting starts October 14th. The election day is November 4th. Anthony, thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.